What's up, homies? My name is Dakota. So I made a video a few months ago called 4 Levels of Egodeath, where it basically is just what the title suggests. I didn't really leave much room for surprises. It was my experience with Egodeath, and I broke it down into 4 levels. But in that video, I kind of generalized Egodeath. Like, these are the things that happened to me and seem to happen to other people. But I didn't really talk about, like, what I was feeling and thinking about while I was experiencing my ego death. So I'm going to try to talk about that in this video and talk about what an ego death felt like when I was experiencing it. So I've had a full-blown ego death experience maybe 2 or 3 times in my life, and they've all been brought on by psychedelics, and I've had little glimpses, you know, of like insights into like the realization that I do exist beyond my thoughts, and I do exist beyond my ego and my identity. I've had glimpses of that through my sadhana, through my spiritual practice, but like not to the extent that psychedelics have shown me. My most life-changing, boundary-shattering ego death experiences came on right after like a panic. Like, I always get this question, have you ever had a bad trip? I've had tons of bad trips, or like at least what people would explain as a bad trip. I don't really consider them to be bad because I always find that the bad trips, the scariest trips, are always the most beneficial. After my first bad trip, I was able to come out of it with an understanding that I worked through some stuff. Like, I came out of it stronger than ever. The bad trips are so life-defining. So I stopped looking at them as bad trips and just started embracing them. Like, yeah, I'm ready. Taking on your demons isn't an easy thing. Climbing a mountain's not an easy thing either. But like, once you get to the top of the mountain, you feel like you can do anything. And that's because you can do anything. Prabhupada said that. The spiritual life isn't gonna be easy. No one said it was gonna be easy, but it's very simple. If you want to grow as an individual, or if you want to be like a hardcore mosh pit of happiness, or if you want to blossom, you got to get your hands dirty. You got to get down on the ground and get in there and really work on yourself. But I do typically think I am actually dying every time I've experienced an ego death. My first intense ego death was terrifying. I remember I was convinced right before it happened that I was going crazy. I was like, oh my god, this is like the worst thing that could ever happen to me. Because I'm alone in my room. I don't ever do psychedelics. I have done psychedelics to people, but mostly I do psychedelics alone in my room. I like to shut all the lights off and just go as crazy deep inside of myself as I can get. And this was one of those moments where I was like, oh god, I made a mistake. I fucked up. I was having these flashes, these visions of all the bad ways that this trip could end, and I was terrified of all of the options I was being showed. I didn't want any of them to happen. I was having this one vision of like me wandering outside and just like not being able to control myself and just screaming and freaking out because I'm just like going crazy. You know, if you've ever taken a psychedelic, sometimes it makes you feel like you're literally losing your mind. And so this vision was just showing me screaming in the fetal position outside, and these people were like concerned and coming up to surround me, and it was just like really scary vision. It wasn't actually happening. It was just all inside my head. But my actual body was like reflecting this vision. Like, I was in my room in the dark in the fetal position, like with my heart pounding out of my chest. These flashes of insanity and these visions I was having were like, it was just so intense and so heavy, and I just couldn't take it anymore. Like, I got to the point where I was just like, I surrender. I give up. I cannot handle this. As soon as I did that, as soon as I could just surrender to the experience and just not feel like I had to be in control, because this is something I realize I do in my life a lot. It's like, I need to be in control of my life, and a lot of us feel like this, but it's a complete bullshit. None of us are in charge of anything. Like, we just woke up in these bodies, and our life has just been a carpet that has just been unraveling as we walk along it. Like, none of us know what's coming next. It's just coming to us, and we're just experiencing it as it comes along. A lot of us freak out in life when we're confronted with this truth that we aren't in control. When someone breaks your heart, when you get punched in the face, you know, all these different things, we're not in control of anything, and it hurts. We suffer when we are confronted with this. And here I was, having to confront this fear on powerful hallucinogenic substances. But as soon as I did let go and surrender, my awareness was just blasted outward, infinitely in all directions, like as if I was like in a ship and water was cracking through and just filling up the room. My awareness just filled everything. It was really crazy. I remember I kept saying like, I have this body, I have this body, because I couldn't remember who I was. I had no idea. Like, Dakota, I would have been like, what does that even mean? I remember I was like literally saying this to myself, like, I have a body, and I kept like touching myself because I was just trying to hold on to any piece of this reality that I could, because I was somewhere else. I remember I just kept trying so hard to just grab onto any memory I could, but they just kept going. Like, came a point to where I didn't have a body anymore, where the concept of a body was alien to me. Boundaries between my body and everything else were gone, completely gone, completely gone. So at this point, I'm just floating above my body, having some like crazy out of body astral experience of like pure consciousness and pure awareness that isn't identifying itself with any object. It just is just awareness. Like we are an awareness that is identifying with the body. I was just remove the body part and just be the awareness. That's like the space I was in. And it's so hard because we are in these bodies that break everything down into categories. So we like, the way we make sense of reality is to conceptualize everything. This is a camera. This is a nose. This is an eye. We're really symbolic creatures. But when these boundaries start to fade away and dissolve is when we can actually have a glimpse into our true nature, into who we actually are, because we aren't our thoughts. The way that I was seeing reality, it wasn't through the operating system of my body or the filtration system of my cultural conditioning. And I could see from an objective position how everything throughout space and time is literally linked together. But I wasn't me, and I wasn't actually seeing anything. It was just like seeing everything as one thing. Like, it's so hard to explain because we need to conceptualize that, but there was no need for that in this space. It just is what it is. It just was what it was. I was the awareness of everything simultaneously. Like, I was the awareness of the wall and the ground and myself and the sky and everybody else all at the same time. Like, it all existed in this void of possibility. I'm not really sure if these substances are allowing us to like tap in and activate more parts of our DNA, or if it's like slowing down our thoughts and like slowing down all the distractions, allowing us to be able to perceive more information of reality. Because humans are so clumsy. We can be like talking on the phone, have it in our hand while freaking out looking for it. Like, where's my phone? Think about when someone hurts your feelings. Most of us will like sit in that for the rest of the day, and we just sit and be upset. You know, that's just, it becomes our reality. Or equally, when someone says something nice, it distracts us from everything, and that just becomes who we are. We're so weird, clumsy creatures. We're so attached to like illusions. We let these temporary things define who we are. We're always distracted by our ego, which is not our enemy, but our friend. It's a tool. And I actually made a video about this, it's called Embracing Your Ego, how to use your ego as a tool for self-improvement. Because, you know, this ego death, this term ego death implies, so death is, you know, we think of death as negative, but it's actually more about ego relationship, ego friendship. We are always distracted by the ego, but it's our friend. It's here to help us navigate through this reality and to be functional human beings and to have relationships with people and to grow and be competitive and to, you know, blossom. And it's a part of our growing process, this ego function of our biology. But the thing is, with a super dedicated spiritual practice or with the use of psychedelics, is you can get to a place beyond your ego. And when you get to the core of yourself, you see that it's the same core as everything else. The same energy that's running through you is running through everything else. And what an ego death will show you is that you are the awareness that is watching all of these things play out. You're not the thing that is playing out. I want to read you this Ramana Maharshi quote. He says, "Consciousness is the only reality. Consciousness plus waking, we call waking. Consciousness plus sleep, we call sleep. Consciousness plus dream, we call dream. Consciousness is the screen on which all the pictures come and go. The screen is real, the pictures are mere shadows on it. You aren't the drama, you're the Rama. I think Egodeath is the same place that the Buddhists refer to as the void. But the void, it sounds so scary, and so again, it sounds so negative. A lot of these symbols of language have, they run through filters. So when we say void, a void to us sounds like a lack of life, which is spooky. But it's not that it's that. It is a void of nothingness, but it's a void of nothingness where all things are. It's a paradox, but it's the place where all things emerge out of. Oh, and I remember when I was falling back into this reality, like when I was coming back into like being me in this body and being sober, I remember I was like just thinking of anything I could. And I remember Justin Bieber popped into my head for some reason. And I remember thinking of Justin Bieber, and I was thinking like, how am I supposed to live? How am I supposed to just go on with my life after that experience? Out of any moment up to that point, this was the most significant moment I've ever had. So the idea of like having to readjust to this artificial way of life just seems so like repulsive to me. And it was a weird adjustment. It took me like 2 days before I could even, fully come back to this reality. And it's not that Justin Bieber as a human being is weird, but it's just the whole phenomenon and culture behind it. So I don't know, this is what an Egodeath was like for me. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and make sure to click subscribe if you haven't already. So if you would like to support me in a way that doesn't really seem like supporting me, you can buy a t-shirt at stayhappystayweird.com. This is actually a new hoodie that I just came out with. It says, "It's all good," because it's all good. And here's the back. It says everything will be alright, because everything will be alright if we just reconnect with love and we express that love out into the universe. And this is also a new hat. The universe is my home, the earth is my temple, and the heart is my path. So if you guys would like to snatch some new merch up, check out stayhappystayweird.com. I love you guys. Hare Krishna.